Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to explore the differences between Ultramarine blue and French Ultramarine. One of the blues in my Daniel Smith palette is actually French Ultramarine. I've been using that for a few years and I've always been wondering what's the difference between Ultramarine blue and French Ultramarine. So recently I went ahead to buy a small tube of Ultramarine blue to try out. Today I'm going to show you some color swatches. I'm going to mix Italian burnt sienna, quinacridone deep gold, queen magenta with ultramarine blue and French ultramarine, and also show you some other color swatches that I have mixed off the camera. You may notice that my palette is a bit dirty. There are a lot of black ink stains. Well, it's very difficult to remove them. Anyway, they are not going to come off, so they are not going to interfere with the color mixing. So this is the ultramarine blue mixture that I have. I'm going to tilt the paper up a bit so that the paint can go from the left to the right side and make sure I don't cross over the lines. So this is a very intense warm blue. You can see the granulation of the ultramarine blue on the cold press paper. Very nice. Now I'm going to mix ultramarine with Italian burnt sienna. I'm going to add a bit of ultramarine from this pool here into Italian burnt sienna. Maybe I'll add a bit more, mix it properly. You can see that it turns quite dull. Maybe I'll use more burnt sienna. This is a mixture that I use quite often to create gray tones. So you can get very nice gray tones with Italian burnt sienna or burnt sienna with ultramarine. This is a bit too wet. Let me pick up the paint with a dry brush. Alright. Both of these pigments are granulating, so you get a resulting mixture that is very textural, has a lot of granulation going on. Next, I'm going to mix ultramarine blue with queen deep gold. You can see some green color coming out. So with ultramarine blue and queen deep gold, you can get a warm green. Now I'm going to mix this with queen magenta. I'm probably going to get a very bright version of a purple with these two mix. Yes, indeed, this is very bright. So let's take a look at the three mixtures again. Zoom out a bit. Now I'm going to switch over to French ultramarine. Same thing here, I'm just going to pull out some ultramarine blue and mix it here. I'm not sure if you can see the difference, but I really cannot see any difference between ultramarine blue and French ultramarine. Even the granulation pattern looks very similar. So now with this, I'm going to mix with Italian burnt sienna. So you can see that this tone here, this gray tone, is quite similar to this tone here with ultramarine blue. So right now, not too much difference. So once I start mixing, you can see the green color coming out. And if I have more queen deep gold, it will be a more yellowish green. But the resulting mixture is still going to give you a warm, a muted green. And finally, French ultramarine and queen magenta. This is almost dry. Let's take a look at the differences, if there are any. Now on Daniel Smith's website, they say that ultramarine blue is more cool and more blue compared to French ultramarine. French ultramarine is warmer and has a red tone bias. But from what I can see in front of me, not so much of a difference. In fact, I cannot tell the difference between these two. And also the resulting mixtures, not too much difference as well. If I want to really say something about the differences, probably Ultramarine Blue has more granulation. If you compare this area versus this area, you can see here that there are more granulation. But anyway, this is a very small difference. Both are still granulating pigments. Let me take a look at another color swatch chart that I painted off the camera. This is Ultramarine Blue, French Ultramarine. I mix it with other colors in my palette, which are Lemon Yellow, New Gamboge, Transparent Pyro Orange, Permanent Alizari Crimson, Burnt Sienna, Permanent Brown. So can you see the difference if there are any? I would say that again, more granulation with Ultramarine Blue, so you have more granulation here compared to this area here. The granulation for French Ultramarine seems to be a bit finer compared to Ultramarine Blue. That's about the only difference I can say, especially this part here. Take a look at this. Let me zoom in closer. You can see these heavy areas of sedimentation, the granulation. This is Ultramarine Blue and this is French Ultramarine. You can see that this is much finer compared to this. Here's a sketch where I use French Ultramarine. You can see the granulation is very fine. Sometimes I don't want that granulation to show if the sky is a clear blue, but if there are very dark clouds, then maybe I will want to use Ultramarine Blue for more granulation. Overall, there are not a lot of differences between these two Ultramarines. Well, the color mixtures that you can get are pretty similar. If you use them straight from the tube, the blues look very similar as well. The only difference I can spot really is Ultramarine Blue seems to have heavier sedimentation compared to French Ultramarine. So depending on what style you like, if you like your artwork to be more textural, go for Ultramarine Blue. If you want it to be more clean, less textural, go for French Ultramarine for the finer granulation. Anyway, I will post a link to the color swatches. I will scan them and post them onto my website. You will see that link in the video description below and see if you can spot any differences from the scanned images. That's all for my video today. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so for more art product reviews, sketching videos. See you next time. Bye.